Hello and welcome to HPA Global Insights, where we'll be interviewing experts from the dietary supplement, nutritional ingredient, and overall natural health food industry. Please like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell, and comment below. Now on with the show. Hi, welcome to the show. Today we have a very good friend of ours, Jenny Chen. She's currently in Beijing. Jenny is the co-founder and COO of Walk the Chat. Jenny, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Hello, Jeff. How are you? It's been a long time. I haven't seen you. How's everything?
Everything's good. Just need to, be able to get on a plane and get to China. Hopefully China and the rest of the world will, this quarantine thing will go away so we can actually travel more. But yeah, we haven't seen you in a while. Thanks again for being here. And today's topic, we're going to dive into a portion of the overall kind of cross-border e-commerce, social selling environment. And what we'll focus on is Little Red Book, or in Chinese, what's it called, like a Xiaohongshu. So we'll talk about that today. So first off, for people that are not, that don't know what Little Red Book is or anything, can you give us like a little introduction about Little Red Book?
Yeah, for sure. Little Red Book is kind of like the Instagram equivalent of social channel in China. It's not super big. So compared to like WeChat and Douyin, which is a TikTok of China, Little Red Book is actually one of the smaller platform. They only have 100 million monthly active user. But however, it's a channel that's
only 100 million, you say,
only,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
small for China.
It's like 1.3 billion monthly active user for WeChat. So
Yeah.
this is less than 1/10 of it. But it's
Still
very,
huge.
very specialized platform. Yeah, it's very focused on female users. Like over 90% of the users are female, and most of them, they have very high purchasing power. They live in like a top tier cities, and they are very into discovering and looking to get to know more about overseas products. And that's why it makes very interesting for overseas brand to really have a good presence on Little Red Book, because it is a channel that people are going to research for your product before they are making a purchase. So this directly impacts their purchasing decision.
Okay, so top tier cities, we're talking about Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. These cities
Tier
that are
Tier 2, yes.
Yeah, that are have the more well-to-do audience. So where does Little Red Book fit into? So for example, let's start off at square one here, and you're a company. You're a foreign company, you've never done business in China, and you're looking to get into China, and Little Red Book is like, wow, that's like Instagram. So, how do we get our brand to be recognized by Chinese consumers? Because there's a saying that Chinese consumers buy brands, they don't buy products. So it's important for companies to really kind of tug at the heartstrings of the consumer, or get the consumer to really buy into the brand. And so where does Little Red Book fit in that overall scheme of trying to enter into the market and like activate your brand or get your brand known first?
That's a good question. I think maybe take a step back, like before looking into Little Red Book, maybe you want to consider, is Little Red Book a good platform for your own specific product? And I think our audience is mostly health supplement and in the health industry. So this really depends. Like for Little Red Book, like the platform itself, like they really promote anything that looks very nice on a picture. So if you have a product that packaging looking very nice and like a very good for taking photos, because it is a picture first platform, then probably it's a better platform for you. And in terms of the price range, it's probably something between like under 1,000 RMB. This will be, or maybe even around 500 RMB would be good. And when it comes to how does a brand how does Little Red Book fit into the overall marketing plan? It's a platform where a lot of the user is going to take a photo of your product. They are going to share their personal story on the platform about their personal experience. So something very down to earth, very genuine. Sharing product review is usually the most well-received kind of content. And as a brand, you want to keep a balance between being too promotional, which is like just talking about the product itself, versus like being more like close to the user by sharing in a tone that is more like a personal to the user, including, for example, using lots of emojis and comparing, creating an educational guide so that people can really understand like what are the elements that goes into your product, what is the specific benefit, is there a guidebook for them to really understand how to use your product. So those are the content that's usually more popular on Little Red Book.
So that's interesting. You mentioned that about the kind of genuine post from just an average user or something. I saw that like a lot of brands that have their own presence on Little Red Book, they don't have a lot of followers. I've like if you search like for my industry, like health supplements, if you search for I won't say any brands, but if you search for one of the famous brands and you find that they have their own Little Red Book platform, the ones I've looked up, they only have maybe 4,000 followers or something. But then if you take the brand and search the whole, you might find some of these like key opinion leaders or famous people or micro influencers. They might have thousands and thousands of followers that are looking at that brand. So it's kind of interesting that someone would follow a person that's talking about the brand rather than following the brand itself.
Right, that's a very, very good observation, Jeff. And actually, this is the same, not just in Little Red Book, but also in Douyin and Bilibili. Those are more like algorithm-driven platforms. So when a brand is marketing on those channels, it's not about how many followers you can get on Little Red Book. Instead, you can have two very different marketing strategies. The first one is on your own brand account, where you can keep it professional, you can post content. It could be very similar to Instagram, where you don't have to do a bunch of localization, simply like posting content as is. Versus if it comes to influencer marketing, this becomes very local and you have to adjust as much as possible. And if you take any like a popular brand, as you mentioned, like usually in terms of like the amount of postings they are doing on their own account, it's probably even less than 30% of the posting or of the action is actually happening on brand's own account. And the rest of it is through the collaboration with influencers. And most of the posts that you see, especially from the like super viral content or from the larger influencers, are most likely promotional content that's created in a way that seems native. So it's harder for end user to tell if it's an actual commercial or it's a genuine recommendation because it's built up this way. And you can work with like some of the largest influencer on Little Red Book, and then in a kind of a pyramid shape. So like you can work with a couple of top tier influencer, like maybe a dozen like an influencer from the mid tier, and then with the rest of the, we call them like a KOC, key opinion customer, which are mostly referred to like accounts that less than, I would say maybe 10,000 followers, like a personal account, and you can product to them and or pay them a very small amount of fee, usually around like a 200 to 300 RMB, and they can help you to post the content the ways that the brand want them to.
So this is like what you would call like seeding your brand. Is that what that is?
Exactly.
Okay.
We call seeding for health supplement like industry. I think it's very hard to just give the product in exchange for free posting, because the industry itself, like the content, is more promotional compared to if you are gifting them a bag or like a clothing. It's like a fits into the outfit and it's much natural. But if it's posting for like a skincare product, health supplement, or a perfume, these are very promotional posts. So it's very hard to like get this free exchange of content. I think I would recommend just simply find an MCM company or a marketing agency to help you to distribute the content and help you to oversee the content with this like a little influencers, actually little personal accounts.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice, because now that I'm thinking about it, like you mentioned, supplements it's a bottle with pills inside typically, and you know, and this is very much well, at the end of this, I'll put a link to an article you just wrote recently about what we're talking about. You have some really good information in there, so I'll link that so people can check it out. But you have a photo in there comparing a kind of a micro influencer, or a person that is kind of out in public in a grocery store or a shopping mall, and their friend took a picture of them wearing, you know, I think it was a purse, or something, compared to a company spending a lot of money to have a professional model, you know, stand with the purse and take a very kind of advertising, high budget type photo. Whereas it's quite interesting. So maybe for health product industry, then if you're in maybe the sports nutrition part, where, like, for example, if your company's making a product for like weight loss or for building muscles or some physical thing, you could take pictures, you know, maybe the model is a girl that's in really good shape and she's exercising and showing your product, or a guy, he's exercising and lost a lot of weight. It's more visual. So I think that's kind of something people have to keep in mind, is the visual aspect of Little Red Book. Just like Instagram, if the picture's not appealing, it's going to be hard to capture people's attention.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and one of the things that a lot of platforms do this, they don't like you to leave their platform. So in doing so, and that's for you know, platforms that are around the world, they like to try to capture and keep you in there. So Little Red Book's no exception, and they don't like you linking directly to any one place. And it seems, you know, Little Red Book, in terms of a strategy, it fits into the kind of storytelling and capturing attention, but not necessarily making that sales conversion or making a transaction. So you really want to direct people, once they're interested in your product, you want to direct them to where the cash register is, which is maybe a Taobao site or Tmall or WeChat, a sales platform. How and because Little Red Book blocks that from happening, like how are companies doing that in a creative way to get people over to where they actually can spend the money?
Yeah, that's a good question. Little Red Book, as good as it is to kind of like create the incentive to want to purchase a product, it's not the best platform for like a sales conversion. And it's super hard to check the sales conversion from Little Red Book because they block all the links. So there are majorly like two different type of like a sales conversion we usually want to talk about when it comes to the Red Book. The first is like a Little Red Book live streaming, and it's actually the only place you can link directly to a Taobao product from Tmall or Taobao. When an influencer is running a live streaming show, they can directly like add a link within their video to take users to make a purchase. And this is like the only place like brands can directly check the traffic and the sales conversion. Another part is when it's most of the like promotion or most of the content are actually not via live streaming. It's via either video content or picture posting. And when it comes to that, by default, like if people see a product, they will actually naturally go to Taobao to make a purchase, if they want to have this like a purchase incentive. And I think there's a survey that's done that's like 77% of the traffic going to e-commerce actually goes to Taobao after people closing Little Red Book. So if you have like a Taobao store already and you have done all the like inside SEO so that your store is ranked top, you don't have to worry too much about driving traffic via specific ways, because naturally people would go there. However, there are brands that don't have a Tmall store yet. If you have stores on, let's say, your independent website or on a WeChat store, then this is when you really have to think about very creative ways to drive the traffic. We have a lot of brands that they don't have enough budget to invest into Tmall, and we help them to first launch their first sales channel on WeChat. And the way we do it is via, a lot of it is via like a private message. Like when people ask, the most popular comment on Little Red Book is where to buy the product.
Where exactly?
Yes, everyone asks that. Like that is like a incredible amount of people ask the same question. That's just kind of you would think it's fake comments, but it's actually real.
So it seems like the consumers are not stupid, and you know when these platforms come into reality and people start using them, I think most consumers that are shopping online and use Little Red Book, they understand that companies can't link. So they're probably very used to seeing something they like, maybe a piece of clothing from a European designer or something. They say, "Oh, that's cool." And they know that they can't buy it there. So they're going to ask you, well, where to buy it? Or I think more likely, I always tell people like Taobao is almost like Google. It's like when you want to buy something in China, people will just go into Taobao and search it.
Exactly.
And then boom. And like you said, if your Taobao store is ranked, you'll pop up right there, and then they can just buy the product.
Exactly. And a lot of the users, they are asking where to buy is because comparatively, like Little Red Book, there are so many foreign brands on there, and not every brand are in China. So many times when people are asking this question, they are thinking about, oh, how can I visit an overseas website, maybe with or without VPN, using an international credit card, having some kind of difficult way to even purchase the product.
Yeah.
And that's because like Little Red Book, I mean, they started from a cross-border e-commerce, like a shopping review site, and it comes to this day. So it's still there, like a very, very focused on cross-border aspect.
Mm. Yeah, so you did mention like Tmall. I know Tmall has different services now. They have services like, for overseas fulfillment, and they have ways to kind of help companies like without a big investment. But you mentioned WeChat. So that WeChat definitely has a shopping presence, has a place to purchase, and it's a convenient place, like you said. For someone wanting to buy something, it has to be convenient and trustworthy. So, I mean, Alibaba, owning Tmall, Taobao, and all these other platforms, and then WeChat, those are the two most popular ways to buy things in China, through WeChat or through Alipay, Zhifubao. So for a new company, I think the balance has to be, we want to build up our brand in China, which means we have to kind of activate it, let people know who we are. So we have to put some money towards that, but we also have the place to purchase it. So I think some companies struggle with the where do they put their money first? Do we set up a sales platform that is going to generate like no sales because no one knows who we are? But if we start to advertise or kind of push our product out there through micro influencers or through KOL, something like that, then people are going to, you're going to start building demand. If you don't have somewhere ready to actually purchase, you can lose a lot of your momentum or lose your sales. So
Yeah.
what is your suggestion for companies to kind of balance that out?
That's a very case by case. Usually we give like a specific recommendation, but if I were to like a generalize the strategies, I would say there are two different scenarios. The first scenario is if you are sure that China is a market to be and you want to act fast and you want to like really shoot for a proper launch in China, like with like a sufficient investment, that will be maybe at least like a maybe 200K USD for the first year. If you have this kind of budget and you want to properly like launch in China, then definitely creating a Tmall, like a maybe Tmall global flagship store, plus operation on Little Red Book is like a more general and a more classic way to enter the Chinese market as health supplement brand, because Tmall, it's the largest like e-commerce platform. Like if people are going to, as you mentioned, it's like the Google for e-commerce. People are going to search there, and wherever you market the product, like either on WeChat, on Little Red Book, on Douyin, all the traffic will, when it comes to e-commerce, naturally it will go to Tmall. And in this case, Little Red Book is super important for the brand launch in the first initial stage, because it is where you can create this demand and actually let people understand like what is your like a selling point, and what are like why people want to buy your product. So this is the best platform where you want to maybe work with hundreds of like a small to medium influencers on a monthly basis to create this like a social presence in China to get started. So that's the first scenario. And I think a lot of health supplement, if they have this kind of like investment, then it's the best like a way to enter the Chinese market. Then there are other scenarios which, if you are a brand that want to be as organic as possible, I know a lot of overseas brands, they want to kind of take a smaller step and to assess the market, get some result, and then decide what to do next. If that's the case, then I would actually suggest you really check out some of the brand. For example, one of the brand that does really well in health supplement is called Lemon Box. And the way that they do it is they first launch a WeChat mini program store, and they work with a lot of influencers to promote their products on, mostly it's actually on a platform called Bilibili, so kind of the Chinese YouTube channel. And they do a bit of Little Red Book, a bit of Douyin, but not as much as on Bilibili. And the way they do it is they check all the conversion via the like a special code, like a coupon discount code, and only if the ROI is above 200%, they decide to like work with the influencer again. And they actually done a lot of collaborations this way with some of the very qualified influencer in, not just in like a lifestyle, because it's like a lifestyle woman, like a parents, but also in like a other industry, like a pets and the food and beverage. So all kinds of different industries. And this way you can really like test the market with a couple small campaigns. You can know exactly what kind of ROI you are getting. And then like I think they did it for 2 years, and only in like 1 year ago, they launched on Tmall, and then they were already big enough. And then after they launching on Tmall, they did a lot more Little Red Book campaign, because with Little Red Book, it's super hard to check the conversion rate, but like in general, all the traffic still goes to Tmall. So you know it works. It's just, it's very hard to know specifically which account like works the best.
Okay. It's interesting that, you know, some of the companies that we worked with over the years, some of them will say, okay, now we're ready to do business in China. And the first thing I do is I show them a bunch of pictures of their products being sold on Taobao, and they don't even know. So this is that too. and I tell them, you know, each company deals with this differently, but some companies are shocked and they're like, who's using our brand? That's you know, that's not right, this and that. But, you know, in some cases I tell them, I said, well, it's a blessing in disguise in some cases, because as long as you can, you know, make sure that your intellectual property is controlled by you, those, you know, that was mostly like Daigo business or overseas sellers, just like people, you know, maybe a Chinese student that's going to college in America, they go to the store, they buy some famous, you know, vitamins, and then they sell them on Taobao with no permission at all from the company. The company doesn't know what's happening, but they're building that brand's recognition without their knowledge. And so it's kind of an interesting scenario where you can kind of build up your brand from overseas, like using Instagram, maybe, you know, some Chinese KOLs that have Instagram and talk about foreign products, and, you know, kind of build up your China presence without even doing anything.
Exactly. That's exactly true. We have brands who are like late to the Chinese market, but as soon as they enter the Chinese market, they have quite a lot of sales. And the reason they are able to be so successful when they launch is because all the fake products, all the C2C sellers, resellers have been promoting the brand like for years. And they're kind of like benefiting from everything. But it's true, like as you mentioned, like having the trademark like registered belongs to you. This is super important.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this, and I've done a couple other videos about e-commerce, and we've mentioned this most every time. You know, trademarks are very, very important, and in the case of you know, JD.com or Jingdong or some other ones, they will not allow you to sell unless you have registered trademark, not just TM. So and you have to, you know, you want to get registered in China. And that can take some time. So companies, I think first step, you mentioned before, let's take a step back. Let's take a step even further back. And before you even enter China, is make sure, like, how long is it going to take me to get my product trademark registered in China so I can control my brand? And that could take a while.
Yes, and the good thing about the cross-border, like a Tmall store or JD store, is if you are launching a cross-border store, they actually only require the international trademark. So you can, while like fighting against lawsuit against maybe a Chinese individual getting your Chinese trademark, you can first start on the like an international, like cross-border business model. For many supplement, it's maybe the best model because you don't have to apply for quite a lot of registration or certificate because it's a lot more easier to import via cross-border channel. But it's still super important to get the trademark because if you don't have it, and someone else can benefit from all the marketing that you're doing because they can just use your trademark to launch a Tmall Classic store, and then they can get all the benefit, like the sales from like using your name.
Okay, well, that's a good point. So international companies, if they have a trademark that's registered, a registered trademark in the country of origin, that would qualify for Tmall or JD, or they would accept that. So you don't necessarily need the registered trademark in China, but you should get it to protect yourself in China. But in terms of just getting sales going, you just need the international version. Okay, that's good. All right, well, let's last question, and then we'll wrap this up because I don't want to take up too much of your time, and you've been very, very helpful. You you deal with lots of different brands and companies and different types of products. What what is the what advice would you have for a foreign company, targeting China? They have a concept of China in their mind, maybe like, oh, I'm just going to rush into China and get a cross-border platform and make millions of dollars, or like all the different mistakes or different things that foreign companies may think wrong about China. What do you think of those, top number one or two or three things that people get wrong or should think about?
That's a very good question. I would say the first is trying to understand the market. Usually when we talk with a foreign brand, like they already have like how it works overseas. And with overseas, when it comes to marketing, a lot of it is affiliate marketing, and some of them they don't even consider paying an influencer because it could sound a bit less genuine. But in China, like most of the promotion with the influencer are actually paid. I would say maybe 95%, and only the affiliate marketing is very, very small part of the actually, I would take it back. So for health supplement, affiliate is actually super important. Okay, I just conflict myself, but it's not on the influencer marketing side. There's a whole other group, which is like a C2C seller. They are working on like a revenue sharing basis, and there are special platforms that specialized in those. If it's health supplements, this is definitely super important because word of mouth is something that can convert users fairly fast. But when it comes to like overall marketing, that's I consider the C2C, I would consider more of a sales channel, like a more of a kind of a B2B aspect. But on the B2C side, on the marketing side, most of the campaigns, you will have to work with influencers. And you can track all the conversions and to get all the data to kind of take a step-by-step approach. That's usually what overseas brands want to do. However, if you are a bit larger and you are expecting the kind of return that like to grow faster, like in the China pace, it's super fast. Like everything is accelerated, and you just have to invest and to manage everything on a much larger scale. So I would say that's the two things that I see that troubles the brand like from overseas.
Okay. All right, well, Jenny, well, thank you so much for all your insights. I will put a link to that article you wrote recently, which is very insightful. Also put some contact information for you, so if people want to get a hold of you, or they can do so.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to HPA Global Insights. Please like, subscribe, and share with your colleagues. Any questions or suggestions, email us at info@uschinahpa.org. This channel is operated by US China Health Products Association, which is a nonprofit organization. Please consider joining the association and supporting its global endeavors. Your support is very much appreciated. Until next time, take care.